Hello, and welcome to TwoSun Tuesday. And, well, this might seem a little bit like a throwback. They did recently reissue these guys, and, yeah, at least at the time that I'm recording this, they're still available, even though I've had this for quite a while. This is the TS28. This is a NightMorning design. You can see we have a hole here in the center of it. Fairly relaxed flipper tab there with a little bit of a hole in it. And ka-chunk. There we go. We got kind of a spear point-esque kind of blade. We have a bit of an aggressive swedge going on there at the top, kind of as a opposite of a clip point sort of thing. That's kind of interesting. And yeah, I will go ahead and do some comparisons to this with the TS21. Why? Because this one, as far as I'm aware, has not left production since it was started to be made. And these are still very, very much available. And, well, they do share a bit of you know, similarities and stuff like that. This blade, a little bit thicker. We can see that with the... There we go, telling my phone to shut up. Yeah, we can see that with the saber grind that we got going on here instead of the higher flat grind. The action on this is absolutely fantastic, but it does have a 3.9 millimeter blade stock thickness on it, so that definitely does help with that. This one's fairly similar in that way as far as the starting thickness goes, but has that grind a little bit less. This one doesn't have that flathead style that they used for a little bit on some of their really, really early models, like that one, and well, like the TS23 has that same kind of hinderer style pivot. And if I remember right, nope, that one doesn't. Oh well. We'll save it there, but there's a couple other ones that they have like that. So I do like that this one uses torqued bits for it instead. That makes me happy. Internal pocket clip mounting on this, and wow, was that pocket clip short. So if you do like them very nice and subtle, this will definitely do it for you. It's about 2/3 the size of the pocket clip on here. Still, all titanium construction. This has a lot more kind of grooves and things going on in there, but still very, very nice and comfortable in the hand. Fits super, super nice. Since this reissue, I'm guessing that they've changed their grind up a little bit. It's still not going to be super, super sharp, laser beamy sort of thing, but you know, it's probably better than what the original pressings of these things were. This thing is still a very capable cutter, but yes, it's a little bit more of a heavy-duty use rather than only light-use knife like you would probably find in something like a Benchmade bug out. Whereas even though I have a G10 handled version of this thing with how thin the blade stock is and everything, it just feels a little more frail, like you'd be afraid to really push it. Whereas, yeah, not so whatsoever with this guy here. And this hole here, I don't necessarily know that a lot of people really would like it one way or the other. It definitely helps out with keeping that handle to blade balance right where it needs to be. And it doesn't hurt anything whatsoever. Unless you had basically like a pencil that you shoved through there, it's not dangerous whatsoever. This thing does have a snaggletooth, as we can see here. Yeah, comes up, and that's going to be a little scary if you come in just a little bit too close to it there. Whereas that does not affect the TS21. So something to keep in mind there. I haven't grounded out of this yet. I don't necessarily know that I will. On a lot of them, I will end up fixing those, but when they are a bit thick behind the edge and you end up fixing that, then you end up with a pseudo axe behind the edge once you actually get that fixed. So I think I might leave it alone on this one, but it is about the only thing that actually bothers me on this. I really do like the ergos on it though. Really works quite well. It has a little flipper bar launch pad or finger landing area that 21 doesn't have. And yeah, like I said earlier, I mean, super great action on these guys. But yeah, a lot of that has to do with just how much steel is there. But yeah, these things, absolutely great. We have a little bit of a hole here on the end for the lanyard. It's not my favorite kind of design there, but I guess I do prefer it over the way that the 21 ends up doing it there with that kind of trapezoidal thing. And that can also work as kind of a secondary impact point if you are going to use it closed and use it as a, what the heck is that called? A Kogiton? I don't know. The, you know, just the standard impact tool kind of thing that you have in your hand there for, you know, hitting things and or, I guess, people if you're self-defense and things like that. But, yes. So, like I said, 3.9 millimeter blade stock thickness. This guy is just a touch over 4 ounces, 4.06 ounces. Also means 115 grams on that. We got 3.46 inches between basically the top of the scale there and the tip of the knife. And we have 0.50 as far as blade stock thickness, so it's just as thick as Spyderco PM2. Speaking of, let's go ahead and do a couple of those size comparisons. There's the PM2 there. There's the Benchmade 940, which you can see this is fairly similar in size to. And a blade of a non-sharpened to hell and back 940 would be very similar to it. So it does share a bit of size kind of ratios going on with that. There's the Benchmade bug out. And how about if we go with the K-bar folding hunter there. A little dozier design. So yeah, pretty short one on this one. You know, if you do like that kind of blade shape and grind, does, at least to me, reminds me of some ZT knives, but they probably have just a little bit better blade geometry in general. And well, of course, they're going to have better blade steel than D2, but they're also going to cost you an extra 100 to 150 bucks a piece. So there's definitely that. We will go ahead and take a look on the inside of this here at the end of the video, which we are basically at. So if you're not interested in that, I appreciate you for stopping by. And the rest of us are going to go ahead and take a look on the inside here. And this guy is definitely simply constructed. We have one screw here going into a Chicago screw on the other side. And we got the pivot screw here, which I had some Loctite in. And as I was feeling there, if we have a D-shaped pivot on there, we don't have receptacles for it on the titanium. And I suppose that makes sense. Yeah, so their newer pivots definitely do have that D-shape going on there. But the tooling and everything like that, remember this is number 28 of stuff that they've done. They don't really have the holes or the D shape on either side there. So this pivot was actually moving just a little bit on me there. Yeah, the only reason why I ended up having a little bit of trouble with that was due to having added Loctite to it myself after the fact of receiving it. So there's that. This looks just a little schmutzy on the inside, but it's basically, yeah, it's all clean. So, yep, we got internal stop pin there, and it's pretty big, but that's not a bad thing because of how much weight this blade actually has on it for its size. So that helps. And then, yeah, we just have a single extra pin up here for the back spacer, which I'm actually going to go ahead and pull off of this. just to make my life a little tiny bit easier. All right, well, that doesn't want to go off, so we'll just leave it there. This one, yeah, for whatever particular reason, has some funky grain stuff going on the lock bar thing, but it's not on where it actually interfaces with the blade. If I actually cared about it, I would clean it up with some steel wool and some Flitz polish or something like that. But you know what? I don't, and it's not really causing any corrosion or other issues. So I'm gonna just leave it. But I will say that's basically the only one I've seen that's had that kind of thing happen to it. All right, let's actually get the pivot somewhat decently tight on that. Oh, right. Since it was free spinning, it wasn't tightening enough, but yeah, I got it. Super nice and drop-shutty when it's all said and done. So there we go. That's the TS28. Pretty fascinating. I am happy that they brought it back. So that's pretty darn cool. The one that I really wish that they would bring back that's kind of early. This is just kind of something I'm going to throw here on the end of it. I've probably talked about this before. This is the TS57. This has been long gone since before I was collecting these guys, but I did end up picking up one of these guys used from a Facebook group. And yeah, this thing is fantastic. Very, very thin, much less than half an inch on there, so nice and thin. Pocket clip works out great on it. The ergos still end up being super great. That grind is basically feels about the same as all the others, so you know, maybe you can grind it just a little bit thinner down there, but I don't necessarily know that it matters all that much. It's fairly darn attractive and really lightweight because of it. So yeah, at some point I hope that they reintroduce this one, or you know, maybe an up version of it or something like that. It's great. But all right, yep, that's basically everything I wanted to cover here with the TS28. It's an interesting looking design. I know that the hole through it is probably a little divisive for some people, but for me, I don't mind the aesthetics of it at all, and it doesn't really feel uncomfortable in any way, shape, or form. So that's pretty darn good knife, and really built for hard use rather than only the dainty stuff that you know, I guess a lot of EDC tests probably call for. But all right, cool. So I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo.